Hello, today on Board Deck and Dice we are looking at For the Birds, an abstract game for 2 to 6 players. Let's have a look how it plays. So here we have the board for the Birds. The inner square is used for a lower player count game. We're doing 3, so we're not using this outer edge at this time. You take different dice for that as well. Here we have some hawks, some crows, various tokens that can be used. Well, not various, they're all the same type. And each player has 6 birds of their colour. Here we have the purple, martins, and cards. The cards do various things. Shoe lets you remove or move a hawk. Flock, move 2 of your birds 1 space each. Swoop lets you move 1 of your birds 1 space or 2 spaces. Peck lets you move an opponent's bird 1 or 2 spaces. Mock lets you place or move a crow to any space, and roll lets you re-roll 1 or both dice. When you've used one of those cards, it goes to your own personal discard pile, and you can only get it back by rolling a double. When you roll a double, you take the top card off your discard pile. To start the game, you place a hawk randomly out, or wherever you want, on one of the red dots. The hawk has pecking order over everything. It displaces everything. So these 4 numbers around the hawk cannot be placed by a bird. You also put 2 crows out either randomly, or you can roll the dice to do that. Crows have pecking order over everyone. So that means if they get displaced, they move every other bird. And the rest of the birds have pecking order in a circle. So if we have to the player to the left, so we have green, red and purple here. Green has pecking order over purple, purple has pecking order over red, and red over green in that circle. So if a red moves onto a green, it shunts the green away, and it shunts the blue, purple. The green shunts the purple away. Red can land on green spaces, green can land on purple, purple can land on red, and they push the bird away. So what you do, you're trying to do is get a line, diagonal, horizontal or vertical, of 4 or a square of 4. And on your go you will roll the dice, and then you will either place a bird or play a card. So let's say green has rolled 4 and a crow. So in this case they would either take a crow and put it on any space with a number 4 in it, apart from 54 or 64, because that is controlled by the hawk. So let's say, or they can play a card. Let's say they just put it there for this sake. Then comes purple. They've got 42 or 24. Now look at 42, it's on edge. They're going to go 24. This continues until there are various birds on the board. Let's put some out just to show you what can happen. And show you how dispersal works. So let's say this is a situation and someone rolls a hawk or gets to move or place a hawk through a card power. They place the hawk here. So let's say it's the red player who's done this. So green gets to go first. They haven't got anyone there, so they do not have to displace. Next it's purple. They do have to displace, and they can't go to the green because they can't go to... No, they can go to the red. So, sorry, they can either move here or they can move here because they have pecking order over the red. So they can move here, displacing the red. The red then has a choice. It can't move here because it's still... sorry, I've made a mistake. If that wasn't the hawk, if the hawk was down here, they could move there, but they will still be under influence of the hawk there, so they can't actually move there. But they could displace that in any other situation where they've been displaced. So they will have to go there. Then the... other purple will have to go there. The red can go to 35 or to 34. 44. Let's say green was in 44. They go to 44. Then the green is displaced. It cannot go to 54 because that's under influence of a hawk. It can go to 43 or 55 following the lines. Sometimes you get these diagonal lines. It can't go to 53 because that's a hawk. So it goes here to block the red's diagonal that they're attempting to do. If a player ever runs out their cards and they have not rolled a double, instead of placing a bird, they can place a blocking token which cannot be removed for the rest of the game, and that space is now permanently blocked. Play carries on until someone achieves a group of 4 birds of their colour. That is For the Birds. So I rather like For the Birds. It's a simple, abstract game of connecting 4 with various neat ideas like the pecking order. I really like how that works, that seating matters, but that you can use that to your advantage to get pushed into places you want to be, and that using a hawk, if you're clever, or having a hawk used against you is not always a bad thing. There are a few minor niggles with it. Some of the colours are too similar, particularly in a low light situation, and viewing the board from above, if you're in a normal seated position, often you can't quite see the which are your birds. You have a good idea where you've placed them, but you start adding crows and hawks in and the board gets very busy. The player birds are all the same design, just different colours, and the hawks are the crows are only marginally different. They have a slightly longer beak and a slightly different haircut. But at a glance, it's very difficult to see. And I find myself a lot of the time kind of ducking down to see what colours are what. So in a full game, particularly the red and oranges, they're quite difficult to tell apart, and some of the other colours as well. So it would have been nice to see some different designs on the different birds rather than just colours. The other thing is at more players it is more chaotic and you're less able to plan. I think the ideal player count for this game is 3 to 4. That is the most interesting for me, where you can set things up and not too much has happened before you'll go. There is luck, you are rolling the dice, but you get to choose what you want to do afterwards. Do you want to place a bird onto the board or move one of your existing ones if you've run out of birds, or do you want to play a card? Cards give you various different options, but once you've played a card, unless you roll a double, that's out of the game. So there are options, but it does come down to what you roll and whether the 2 places that you can go are available to you. Now, due to pecking order, they may very well be, but if a hawk or a crow's there, you're stuffed. So there are a lot of goes where you are going to have to play a card because especially as the board gets busier, you simply, the 2 numbers you roll are either taken by birds that have pecking orders over you or by the crow or the hawk. The hawk, though, is really nice that doesn't land on a space, but it influences 4 space. There's 3 of them, 4 spaces, and that adds some tactical stuff to it. Like I say, you may want to use a hawk to manipulate things in your favour. Some of the cards are super powerful. The card that I have used to win more than once is the cards that let you move your birds along the branches. And I often find the best strategy in this game is to try and clump your birds quite close together, but not quite in a 3 in a row or in a 3 in a scoring position, because then through influencing the board in other ways, using your cards, a hawk, a crow, displacement, you can get that sneak victory. So it's a light abstract game. It goes up to 6 players, which is unusual for an abstract game. I think it tops out at 4, especially with the colour issues, and if you want to be able to have some element of control and planning over the game. It just gets a bit chaotic at those other numbers. But yeah, it's a nice enough game. Intimidation factor, nah. There's not much to intimidate there. It's common sense ideas, well-known ideas. The rules are easy and quick, and the game is a lot of fun. It doesn't drag, it doesn't slow down. Getting a score of 4 is actually easier than it first appears. So it is a lot of fun. Would I add it to my collection? It's another one of those on the border ones for me. I'm just not sure for me if it's enough. If it has enough legs, if it will last enough in my collection with other abstract games that I enjoy, like Azul. So for me, it's probably an issue of it just wouldn't get played as much because of not that it's the same every time, but there's probably not quite enough depth there for me. But for families, people just getting into gaming, getting into concepts, there's a lot there. Like I said, this displacement idea was really neat, but that is the deepest idea going on in a lot of ways. So that is For the Birds. If you like what you see, go check it out from Breaking Games. Thanks very much for watching Board Deck and Dice. We will see you next time.